What is up, everybody? This is Recap Rewind. I'm J-Lag.
And I'm NB.
And we are recapping and reviewing American Horror Story Season 8 Apocalypse Episode 6. 6, guys. And it's a big one. It's called Return to Murder House.
It was amazing. But don't forget, guys, stick around for our ending because we are going to go through our recap roundups, our best moments, our MVPs, our LVPs. So stick around for that. And as always, guys, I think we want you guys to tweet us your best moments as well,
100%,
right?
Yeah.
So feel free to tweet us at recap_rewind every week and let us know what you guys thought of the episode and who made your list.
Yeah, and we'll talk about it too.
Yeah.
And for anyone who's returning, thanks so much for coming back. And anyone who's brand new, thank you guys so much for joining us. Make sure you guys subscribe to the channel. Let's get into this business, girl.
Let's get physical.
We got lots to talk about because it was a crazy episode. So much happened.
Oh my God.
Where do we even begin? I mean, I guess to the top. The beginning.
You know what? It's interesting. Not that so much. No, I guess so much happened.
It
was just such a beautiful episode, and it really
gosh.
just felt like a standalone piece. That's kind of like a checkpoint of the season a little bit. You know?
we watched Murder House. Everybody, I'm assuming and I'm hoping that everybody's watched Murder House at this point. And we got a final conclusion to that story, but this was like the epilogue that I've always wanted. And you get so much conclusion. Like I'm getting chills just wanting to talk about it because, I didn't realize how much I missed season 1. I didn't realize
how much you liked it probably too,
and how much I enjoyed
those characters stuck with you.
Yeah, and they did such a phenomenal job. I didn't feel like it was contrived or too hokey, because sometimes they'll say things or do things that will throw back to season 1. You're like, oh my gosh, but this felt very natural. All the explanations were a little expositional, but it made sense, and I love the way they tied everything together.
Even just quickly, introducing what's his face, Dylan McDermott. Even with that, I was like, how are they gonna fit his him and Connie Britton's storyline in this? I get it, Constance is the biggest part, but I'm like, how are they gonna come into it? And so I was really worried about that. But I loved his little mini story. It was really touching, and it was such a good episode. I was very emotional by the end of it.
Yeah, I mean, real talk. We'll talk about Vivien later, but if anything, she was a little. Anyway, let's get into the episode. Starting from the top. Yeah. So the car rolls up and Madison and Behold get out. And as they're getting out and getting into the place, you find out that they bought the house from a real estate agent.
Right.
And the real estate agent says, by the way, this place has been not
it's fucked, basically.
It's fucked. There's been 36 murders in here, just to let you know. And no one's been living in it for a while. So it's pretty burnt down. It's not well kept at all. The grass is dead, everything's all messed up, but they walk in anyway.
So
and
something that I forgot real quick is that this is still in the past.
Yes.
This is even before the apocalypse even happens, which I totally forgot. Again, I was like, oh, they're visiting the house, they're gonna go back to the. I'm like, wait, no, that didn't happen.
Yeah.
I'm like, wait, we're still in the past. So remember that
we're still in a standstill moment.
Yeah. The story has not progressed
at all.
Yeah.
This is all backstory, which is kind of funny, but I'm enjoying it so far. But one of the best things that happened this episode was Madison and Behold together on set in the same scene was killing me. One of the things that they say when they're trying to get the real estate agent to buy into them purchasing the house is they're like, we look like the worst possible versions of Heidi Klum and Seal.
Yeah, because they're acting like a couple, right?
Yeah, they're just hilarious together.
So cute.
I was dying of laughter in that opening moment, and he even says, he's like, I'm putting a stretch on, I'm wearing khakis, this is a reach for me too. Relax. So anyway, talking to the realtor, and he talks about the murders, and then he's like, don't worry, we'll just burn some sage, it's totally fine. She loves an open concept kitchen, it's cool. So they get inside, and already they're feeling a lot of psychic energy, obviously. And he's like, I pity the souls that are stuck in here. And I was like, okay. And then Madison's like, I've actually been in hell, and this is not that bad, because hell's pretty bad. Yeah. And Behold is starting to get jitters. He's like, you know what, guys, why don't we just go clubbing or something? He doesn't want to do what they're about to do, which is basically call in the spirits, really find out the answers that they need to find out. And they do it anyway. So Behold even has a moment too where he's still doubting whether or not Michael is evil. He's still having that question in his mind. And she was like, yo, we just got to find this out. So he puts together a seance, and then everything kind of like goes black. And then you start seeing all the ghosts coming through. And it was terrifying. Like, I was like, yo. I'm like, if the whole episode's going to be like this, guys, I can't deal with it right now. It's so spooky and so scary. I forgot how scary this season was because of all the jump scares and the ghosts popping out of nowhere. So you see somebody running, like you see kids like whose faces are melted running down the stairs, like,
and they're all like in a very tight confined space, like they're all stuck in this tiny house, so like it's all happening in that area. And
it seems like there's more ghosts than there were even when, you know, like that family, the Harmon family, were living there. The way, right? So it's like even more like spiritual. Yeah. And Madison's like, what the F happened in this house?
I wish they explained to us, not that like it's anything big, but like I wish they explained like how much time has passed since then.
Right.
Like, has it been 50 years? Or has it been like 10 years?
I think we know that it's like what, like 2017, or no, it's 3 years before the apocalypse. So it's like 2015. Yeah, I don't know. It's probably within like the last like 3-4 years or something like that. Not too long. Okay. Because remember, we see some old characters from season 1, and they haven't really aged that much. Like Billie Jean Howard comes back in. She's not like super old, but she's the only human left alive. So anyway, they turn it on. They turn like the ghost people on, and the first people that we see that we remember are Ben Harmon, and he's still doing therapy with Tate Langdon. And so they're sitting there and they're talking, and we're overhearing their conversation, and he basically, it's implied that Ben is still not talking to Vivien, or I should say vice versa. Vivien's like not having any of it. And that Violet isn't talking to Tate because she's just cheesed at him. She thinks he's evil. He's a psycho. As you remember how the season ended, she was just like not a happy soul. Like when she found out that she died and all that kind of stuff.
That was so sad.
So he just wants to reach out to her. He's like, I just want, like, he's like, this has been torture. Like, I just love her. And like, you're all, she's all, you know, like they had a really crazy love story, but I was always rooting for like them as a couple. So it was hard to see him like eternally trying to talk to her, and she doesn't even want to like hang out with him. But yeah, we got all the characters back. We got Evan Peters, we got Dylan McDermott, we got Taissa Farmiga as her second role as Violet. So in this moment, Madison and Behold walk into that area, and she's like, "We can see you. You can see us. We are witches. We want to talk about Michael." And in that moment, Ben is like, why should we even help you? Are you going to like kill us even more? Like, we're already dead. And he makes a good point. Like, what's in it for these ghosts? Right. So he pieces out. He's like, BRB, I need to like masturbate and cry like out a window. Because he's like, that's what I basically do every single day.
They're like stuck on a loop, basically.
Yeah, they're basically
like
stuck on a loop. Like Westworld style. And Tate kind of sees them. And as soon as they mention Michael, he's like, he doesn't want to have anything to do with it either. He says, like, even magical people like have to watch their backs in this house, so just like be careful. He dips.
Magical people.
And so then they go back into the living room, and a ball rolls down the stairs. And then, of course, we know like how it's going to set up. I'm like waiting for the jump scare, and I still got scared. The guy from the basement. So this is one of the Langdon children, the one with a deformed face.
So was this Constance's one of her kids?
Yeah. And he was living in the basement because he was like all messed up looking. And but he was like one of the most friendly. So as he's running after Madison, he charges her, and right at that moment, Behold is about to like vanquish him. And Billie Jean Howard, aka Sarah Paulson, like grabs his hand. She's like, I don't think you should do that, because if you do, like other ghosts are gonna get pissed at you. And so then they get introduced to Billie Jean Howard, who's like, I am, you know.
So what was she doing there? She just kind of like chills there?
I guess she visits like from time to time because there's so much psychic energy there. She's as you guys might have remembered, she is a psychic for the stars, right? She's something like that. So she knows who Madison is, but she says something really interesting, and I wonder if it's going to kind of connect to other seasons or how it's going to connect. But she says, oh, you know my movies. Like Madison's like, oh, you know my movies. And Billie Jean Howard is like, I know a lot of Montgomerys. But she doesn't say like, I know you specifically. So that's very interesting. It's a
very interesting like, drop.
Yeah. Anyway, at that moment, we get our reveal, and Constance freaking Langdon, a.k.a. Jessica freaking Lang, gets down the stairs, and she's like, why is everybody bickering? This is my effing house. Like, What are you guys doing here? What did you think of this moment?
Amazing. It was so hyped up. It was so powerful. And I think, you know, there's something so beautiful about her moment in this episode. I think it all made sense. Like what she had in this moment was perfect and we needed it. But like seeing it as a bigger season, I don't think she had to be in the whole season. You know what I mean?
It's true.
And there's something so beautiful in that too. Like she came in for like the clutches episode.
Yeah, to give the answers that we need to give.
Yeah, and then like, but yeah, she was amazing.
Yeah. So anyway, going back to like her introduction, seeing her in that moment, I was so excited. And so then it cuts to them in the lounge area, and Billy, Constance, and them, like the two of them are just chilling. And she explains like they're witches, and Constance is kind of just getting caught up. So then Moira comes in. So Moira is played by Frances Conroy. Right. She's like the old maid. And she's like, oh, I finished the room. And as you remember, Moira was kind of a waste character. Like she was not a waste character. She was a shitty maid. Right. And she was basically the bane of Constance's existence.
What was their beef all along? Like, I love their dynamic together, first of all. Yeah. But why did they hate each other so much? Like, what happened? I can't remember.
Well, Moira fucked her man. Like,
did she?
And that's how she died. She found out that she was sleeping with her. She shot her in the eyeball and she died. True. That's why she has like the glass eye. Yeah. So yeah, it like I just love it.
They were amazing together.
Like just fighting for eternity. Yeah. Like they're just gonna be fighting.
Yeah.
So she goes to the side. She like realizes that there's dust on it, and like,
I love that moment too.
Oh my god, like Jessica Lange's moment, she's like, what's on my finger?
It was just such a like queen moment. Yeah. Like she's just like looking for dust in the living room, like. Yeah.
And Moira was like, that's dust, I see it, okay, fine,
it was
I'll,
like
fix
5 centimeters of dust. Like, Moira, like you need to like literally die.
Go away.
Again,
but like Constance was like, it's not dust, it's my wonder. And like trying to figure out, like she was just like throwing so much shade.
Yeah,
the writing they gave her was like amazing. So anyway, Moira, before she leaves, Moira calls her a coward. She was like, oh, you're just like pissed that like you took the coward's way out. So we still don't know how, at this point, we still don't know how Constance dies.
Ended up in the house, yeah.
But she chucks her glasses at her, and Moira just like dips. She's like, fuck this.
Yeah, she's like, I'm not going to clean that up.
Yeah. Like, you're not doing anything.
You get your own broom.
But fine. So then Madison and Behold walk in. She's like, are you guys okay? Like, what are you girls like doing right now?
Behold was so like entertained. Like, he was like, there's so much drama happening in this house. He was like, I'm not leaving.
Ghosts are like the most lit people. Yeah. So Madison's like, she literally says, we need the hot goss on Michael Langdon.
Oh my god, Madison's lines this episode were on fire.
So good. Like, guys, the script was so good.
You know what? And it's actually so smart what they did. Like, because at first we were wondering, like, why are they breaking up these characters and taking them to the murder house? But seeing these two, like Behold and Madison, on their own and having their time to have their own lines and their like conversations, it was so much fun.
It was all you wanted to watch.
It was so much fun.
It was so entertaining. Yeah. And so, like, I wouldn't have asked for any better pair, really.
Exactly, for sure. And, like, once you start adding more of these witches in there, more, like, warlocks, like, you lose their characters, right? For sure. So, yeah, no, it was amazing.
So good. So, Billie Dean Howard at that moment looks at Constance. She's like, we have nothing to say about him. And Constance is like, chill out. She's like, you know what? Listen, I know so much about him. Yeah. Like, I know him better than probably anybody else.
Like any woman out
there. But she says, I don't spill a drop of tea for free. And I'm like, I'm going to use that from now on. I don't spill a drop of tea for free. So Madison's like, sick. Like, I love a little bargain. And she says, like, remove the ginger. That's what she wants. She's like, get rid of the girl. And so they're like, okay, like, we'll figure it out. So then they go to the backyard and they start digging for the bones of Moira. So that's the only way to get them off.
I didn't know that. Yeah.
If you literally bury them into
the physical bones.
Yeah, the physical bones, you have to like move them away.
And I think even Behold was like, girl, like, I know a spell. Like, I could just lock her up in the closet. Yeah. Like, and just leave her there. Like, what are we doing? Like, because so many people have died on this property. So like, he's like, there's bones everywhere. like
taken, they had to remove the gazebo first. Then they had to start digging.
I know that there's 2 witches and like they're still digging. Like, you would think there's like a spell for like doing like
well, the hilarious thing is like after when they cover up her body in the gravesite, she like just like
moves her head. I'm like, where were you before when this poor man's like digging a hole?
Anyway, so she's checking, she's finding all these skulls. She's like, no, this is like the wrong vibration. And so yeah, just like these really cute moments with Behold and Madison are really entertaining. Yeah. So finally they find her bones. They come back into the kitchen where Moira is like basically like checking her phone. She's not even working. So
she's like checking IG.
Yeah. So then she goes up to her. Madison goes up to her and says, we want to release you. We found your bones. She like hands her like a bag of bones, and she's like,
Moira's like, oh my god. She's like, I've been looking for these.
She's so happy. Well, the thing was, like, I think Madison thought it was going to be a little bit harder for her to get out of the house. Yeah. But you also have to remember that, yeah, Moira wanted to leave from the get-go. Constance is the one that kept her there to suffer and like live like through that forever. You know what I mean? So she finds the bones, and Madison is like, she's like thanking her so much. She's like crying. She's so happy. And Madison has like one of the first moments where I wrote down like, is Madison becoming like a cool girl? Like we're finally seeing the real side of Madison.
It was like a beautiful moment where I think she's like confused as to what she's feeling.
Yeah.
As she's watching like, Moira feel these emotions, she's getting like she's like, wait, why am I getting emotional right now? Because Moira, I don't know. I think it's Frances Conroy's like her face. She reminds me of like every grandma in the world. And like she just makes me so emotional.
It's true.
And she was so happy to like being set free or whatever.
For sure.
And
so
it was really cute.
So anyway, they go to the gravesite because they're like, you can choose wherever you want to go and get buried. So they go to the gravesite, and it says Molly O'Hara, and it turns out to be her mom. Mm-hmm. So she just wanted to be buried beside her mom.
And here I am thinking that like there's gonna be some like next drama with like getting this girl out of the house. No, like she's like quick. She's like, just take me there. Like all I want is that.
And that's what I mean. It's almost like we got the AHS like murder house epilogue. Like we found out what happens to every single character at the end of it all. So Moira gets her bones buried, and Madison and Behold, right before that happens, have like another like really cute moment where Behold is like, yo, like you're becoming like this emotional person, and she's like, no, F you, like I'm still like a badass bitch. So she's still putting up her walls, but we can see that she's starting to break down. I think this episode, more than anything else, we noticed how Madison has really come so far.
She has, and I think she kept accentuating the fact that she's like, I'm gonna do it right in my third life.
Yeah, she's like I died three times.
I did it already. Like I came back one time and I still fucked it up. So she's like, definitely. She kept saying it, like, and I was like, yeah, like she's trying to like, you know,
she's really trying to make amends this time, or like do it,
or at least like right. She's just
So Moira has a moment with her mom.
Oh my god,
I was like gonna cry. I was like, this is so emotional. So she sees her mom, and it was such a random moment.
It just caught me so off guard. I really didn't even like, I didn't understand where I was.
I was waiting for like a murder mystery, but then it was like, no, she's literally just talking to her mom. Yeah, like that's it.
And then like her mom like appears.
Yeah,
and she's like, Mom, I'm so sorry. I'm so like, I'm gonna cry. Yeah, it was really sad.
She apologizes for pulling the plug on her.
Like, I killed you. I was like, oh shit. I'm like, she's a badass bitch. And then she's like, no, like I pulled the plug on you.
And then she was like, I wanted to like hug you, and I was so happy because like you knew that I was suffering. Anyway, we're gonna move on because like, we're gonna get emotional.
It just caught me off guard. I was like, homie, why are you making me cry right now? I thought this was like the most scary, like, intense episode. What's happening?
So,
and then there's like this really freaking beautiful shot of them like
walking across a bridge.
Almost like a bridge, but it was still in the cemetery. And then there was like fog at the end of like the bridge, and they're just like holding hands, like walking. And
it was really cute. Moira was like, this is so beautiful. I feel so at peace now. And then like, for anyone who's ever lost anyone, like it really hits you hard in a place where it's like, that's the peace that she's wanted all this time.
And then like right at the end, like they walk into the fog, and the fog just sort of like envelops them, and then they like dissolves out.
We got such beautiful moments.
Oh god, it was so beautiful. I had like chills. Like I was
for sure. So then it cuts back to the house. Like that's the thing. Like it's like murder house. Back to murder house. And Constance finally sitting down to talk to them. Like, we got rid of the girl. Let's go. Let's do this. So
and they waste no time. Like Constance is like, sick. Okay, I'm gonna tell you everything right now.
Let me light a cigarette. Let's go. So she starts talking, and she talks about the fact that she took care of him since he was a baby. Yeah. So as you remember, you know, the birth and everything.
It shows the moment from the birth too.
Yeah. How the family was doomed to die. She takes the baby, and
I forgot she died as she gave birth.
Yeah, she gave birth and she died.
I forgot.
So then she says, like, baby Michael was so happy. He was such a joyful child. She was like, he was such a good kid, even when he was doing unspeakable things. And Behold is like, what kind of unspeakable things was he doing? So then she continues on the story, and she starts crying. Like, she starts to feel really emotional about it. And she says, you know, he would start leaving me little gifts like rats and like dead animals everywhere.
First it was like small animals.
And then she was like, things started to like, he started to like graduate to other things. And then she was like, I watched enough documentaries to know that I was raising a serial killer. She's like,
because it starts like that.
She's like, everybody, like Bundy, like all the serial killers that are well known started that way. So she was like, I don't know what to do next.
There was something really special about her that I think I either forgot or I didn't pick up in the first season with her, is that like I expected her to be like this really big bitch. And this almost delusional woman who wants to raise his kid, doesn't really care that he's a murderer, and still raises him. Yeah. But this time around, her tone was completely different. And she does this really beautiful thing where she's like, every time he killed something, I planted a rose like flower to like bring life again to the world. Yeah. Like, and it was such a like huge moment. I was like, yo, this woman's like literally like
trying her best
and
to like see past
she knows the darkness, but she's really trying to bring the light back into the world. And I just never thought Constance was like that.
You know, I think that she's had to struggle with it for her entire existence. She's always said like she was blessed to be a mother 4 times over, but she like just every bad thing happened to all of her kids. So it shows more pain as she goes through it. And really that's the end of the story, is the fact that she couldn't get through it with him and she couldn't fix him. So she realizes that, you know, like I said, he goes from small rats and then he goes to dogs that are hanging on the thing. So and then he was like, and then there was the babysitter.
Yeah. And all along they're showing like the rose gardens getting bigger. Yeah. Like there's no more room anymore because she's had to plant like 100 roses.
So many things. And so it shows the babysitter, which we saw in the final episode of season 1, where she's like, I couldn't even like bury that body.
And he's not a baby anymore. He's like maybe like 2 or 1. Yeah.
And he's like laughing and whatever. And she's like, I couldn't do anything about it. I literally had to call the police and say it was like an accident. She tried to kill herself. So then when that happened, she was like, I don't know what to do. She was like kind of at a loss. And then when she went into the room, she was like, it wasn't a child anymore.
It was a really weird transition. And I love that moment too, because like it's the kid, the 2-year-old kid on the chair, and like she puts her head like on his foot, on the bottom of his foot. And then when it does
she's cleaning up the blood.
Yeah, it was such a cute moment. And then the next shot is like him walking into the room, and all you see is like a big foot, like a man's foot. Right. It was so creepy.
And it just, oh gosh, guys, Jessica Lange freaking like gives me so many emotions, and I'll say it 1,000 times over during this podcast, but I just want to say it again. That's a very obvious moment where like I was feeling so many feelings for her. She's just such a grandma. She just wants to take care of her kid, you know? So anyway, so she sees this kid, and she was like, that's when I knew something was not right.
Well, yeah, he aged like 10 years overnight.
Like he's not just like this like serial killer, or could become a serial killer. There's something legit like supernatural mystical about him. Yeah. So yeah, he ages overnight, but she says like it's almost like he was in a hurry to be a certain age, and I was like,
to get to where he's going.
Get where he's going. And even seeing her say that, I was like, she's feeling some type of way about that moment too. I don't know if you guys ever watched Big Fish, but she was in Big Fish as well, and it almost reminded me of that moment. I don't know, it was just really weird now that I'm thinking about it. Anyways, so she was like, I didn't know what to do at that point in time, and then something big happened, and then it shows in the middle of the night he stands over her body and just starts choking her and literally tries to kill her. And then as she's waking up or like trying to like stop
trying to get him off,
he comes back and he like lets go, and then you realize that he's still a child, like he's not a mature person. He starts
bawling. He's like, what was I doing? He starts crying on her.
He's like, Grandma, what did I do? Like, and he sounds like a child, and he's like, can I just have some water? And like their acting is giving me chills as I'm talking about it, because both of them, Cody Fern and Jessica Lange, in this moment, has been, my goodness,
probably my favorite actor of the year right now. Like, he has been amazing.
blown away. So they have this moment, and she's like, I did not know what to do at that point. So her last ditch effort was like, because he's supernatural, like maybe calling in a priest will do something. So she calls in a priest, and sure enough, that doesn't fucking help. He kills the priest, and like he's just still playing like video games. And she was like, at that point, I was so heartbroken. She's like, I've been burdened by heartbreak all my life, but she's like, this one shattered me like beyond recovery. Oh gosh,
the writing was amazing too. You know, as much as you want to say Jessica Lange, like the way they wrote her in this episode was, I like the writing has been on point
for sure.
It's crazy.
And she says too, like as she's saying, you know, like she couldn't fix him. She says like it's almost like as he was growing and getting better at what he was doing, he was over her love. Like he didn't want it anymore. And she was like, I was worried that if I corrected his grammar one more time, he would just slit my throat. So anyway, she decides that she's like, I did not want to leave this world like by another man's hand, because like she had to deal with men like fucking over.
She's like, I've been doing my way my whole life.
Yeah. So she's like, this time I gotta, you know, take it into my own hands. So then we have an amazing moment where she plays Connie Francis. It's one of my favorite songs actually, and it's You're Gonna Miss Me by Connie Francis, and she's drinking and she's like taking pills, and I wrote down like
she's like dancing. It was so
she's
cute.
like dancing, and I was like, watching Jessica Lange go into like a drunken medicated state is like a staple of American Horror Story at this point, because we saw her do the exact same thing in season 3 with Coven and Fiona Good, and like I just love watching her like drunk and like high. Like she's amazing. So anyways, she ends up dying, and it was a really beautiful moment because she ends up committing suicide, but as soon as she wakes up, she gets to see all of her children. So she sees Tate sitting right beside her. She sees like her son who was in the basement, I forget his name, but and then we see her next child, which we'll talk about a little bit later. So like there's another child in the back, like a little girl. And then she mentions Addie, and she's like, I saw all my kids except for Addie, who died off of the property, if you don't remember, in season 1. And I was like, oh my gosh, justice for Jamie Brewer. She like totally didn't get to be a part of this season at all. Both of her characters like peaced out.
Oh my god, because she was Nan. Oh my gosh, I got goosebumps again. Yeah, no, it's true. Yeah,
I know.
Ooh, where's this girl, man? What is she doing? Like some next like HBO show or something? I know,
seriously.
She's like contractually obliged. She can't be on the show or something.
Like, I can't do this anymore.
So let me just stop you right here and ask you, like, how did you think about the way that Constance died?
I was down for it. I think at the end of the day, she says, you know, like, I wanted to be around people that I knew my family was here. And yeah, I think at the end of the day, it's so Jessica Lange. It's so like how they would want her to go out. I can't imagine any other way for her to die. If she got killed by Michael, I'd be like, see, that kind of sucks. Like seeing even him like stand over her body and choking her, I was like, I don't know, man. I don't think that's fair to this amazing character.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. Like what a legendary character. And right before her even doing that, she's saying like I am in control of my own life. I've had to do things my way, whatever. Yeah. And of course, the only way she's going to go out is her way. Right. So I think it was so beautiful. I don't think I expected it to be that way. I thought for sure like Michael would be like killing her. Right. But having seen this version, I was like, I'm so glad that they did this. Mm-hmm.
So then that's kind of like the end of her story. But she does say, she's like, I wanted to see my kids. I was so happy. But she's like, but I never wanted to see my grandson ever again. Yeah. And then you realize you decide, like, ghosts decide who they want to see in the house that are still alive. So he comes
Which
down.
I never knew, Like,
I didn't realize that either.
I didn't realize that. And there was it's the scene where I think Michael comes in.
Yeah, so Michael comes down the stairs and he's just waking up. He's like, Grandma, like he
comes to the house, I think, right? To see her or to look for her.
He goes to look for her.
Because she's missing at this point, because she did.
So before all that happens, I totally miss like a little part where it cuts back to Behold and Madison and Constance talking, and she like finishes her story. And then we see her fourth child saying, Mommy, it's almost tea time, and her eyeballs are missing, like her daughter's eyeballs. And so I had to do a little bit of digging, but I'd love to know your guys's. So make sure you guys comment below and let us know if you know anything more about it. But apparently there's nothing on her at all, except for the fact that we know that she exists. So her name is the daughter's name is Rose, apparently. But there were stories about the fact that she could have been a transsexual who was like, there's a lot of like, or transgender. Did she exist in
the first season?
I don't think she existed, but there was a mention of her at some point in time.
Oh, okay.
So anyway, sorry, I meant transgender. I wasn't like, I don't know what her situation is, but her eyes are missing. That's all we really know. Yeah. So I wonder if the focus on her is going to come back later on in the season or in the series even, because it feels like they wouldn't just like throw that moment in just for us to see it and like walk away. Like why would you intro a new character at this point? But anyway, so we see it. And then it cuts to like Ben Harmon like jerking off crying by the window, and they're like, are you done, Dilf? Like Madison walks in, she's like, are you done? And he's like, I have nothing to say to you. And Madison tries to make a bargain with him and says like, what if we can get you to stop doing what you have to do? And he was like jerking off. He's like, but like low key, like
I just want to stop the crying.
Yeah. And they're all like, brr. Like freaking Behold's face was killing me. And he's like, okay, cool. So then he tells the rest of the story and he says, when Constance died, that's when I saw my son for the first time. So it's almost like she was attached and tethered to him, and then suddenly, like, as soon as she passed away, like he was open to the rest of the family. Right. I don't know,
which makes sense.
Yeah, I guess
because when he came looking for her, right in the house,
yes,
he's like, where is she? Or he sees her body there.
Yeah, so he comes downstairs and he's like grandma, and then he sees the body and she's dead, and Ben is sitting on a chair and he's like, she doesn't want to even see you. Yeah. And then he's gagged. He's like, why doesn't she want to see me? And then you realize that they start to have like therapy sessions. Yeah. So Ben tries to shrink him and like talk to him about things, and he realizes he's really, really smart and very intelligent. He tries to just like take him through
everything I taught him. Like he thinks 5 steps ahead of everyone. Yeah. And so it was really cool because like they showed the Rubik's Cube. Yeah. And like he doesn't just solve it. He like designed a crazy pattern on the cube. Like he's so smart.
Yeah, he's super smart. And so he starts to be a little bit more curious. You can tell that Ben was thinking that he could start to rehabilitate him. Yeah.
And they had like a dad moment. Like they were like throwing the baseball around. Like it was so cute.
Because he's trying to see him as his son. He's like, even though he wasn't my son, he's kind of like low-key my son. So he wanted to take care of him and watch out for him. But then it cuts to a moment where he finds like the rubber mask in Tate's room, and Tate like loses it on him. Mm-hmm. So as we remember, Tate is like his real father, and Michael just turns to him and he's like, but I just want to like be like you. And Tate completely rejects him. So what did you think of this moment? Did you think this was going to happen to Michael?
I honestly didn't think it was going to happen. I thought for sure Tate would be like, yo, it's like my son. Yeah. But when he said those words and he was like, I could never create something like evil like you, like get the F out of here. Like they all hated Michael. Like I did not expect them to act this way towards him. Yeah. I thought they were going to be like, yes, like he's our son. Like get us out of this. Like I thought they'd be more lit about him, and nobody was really excited about him.
Yeah, nobody.
And even Tate was like, I could never create you, so get the F out.
Which was a bit of a surprise, because I think even in episode 1 of Apocalypse, we were like, or 2, when we see the Rubber Man for the first time again, we're like, who is that guy? Because we're like, oh, it must be Tate's like ghost, like going around like fucking everybody. Yeah. But I guess it's not even him, because he wouldn't follow him. So I'm like, who is it now? Like another question mark, right? So we don't know like who that other person is, his next like persona, like we don't know.
Or is it just him
fucking people? Yeah. So then he realizes after he gets rejected by Tate, like it hits him really hard, and he starts to like lose, like Ben starts to lose him to the darkness, and you can see him like hang out with like the wrong like people. He sees a Black Dahlia ghost who died in the house as well, and he's like performing like surgery on her, and he's like giving her a smile. Like it's really creepy and weird. And then he's like, and then the household, Ben is like telling the stories, like, and then the household and like shit went even worse. And so it's like a lesbian couple. They walk in, they're so excited.
Literally, they're alive for like 2.5 seconds.
Like 5 seconds. And they're murdered right away.
In the kitchen.
Literally, like they walk into Ben the house. Closes the door, front door, and all he hears is screaming. He goes into the kitchen, and like it's the Rubber Man wearing like the whole suit, and he slashes both of their necks and they die right in front of him. And Ben's like, what did you do that for? Like, they were innocents. And he's like, they're not supposed to be here. And of course, like, he's like, well, you're an idiot, because like they're gonna be here forever now. They're gonna stay here now. And he's like, no. And so they get out, their souls get up, and they're like freaking out. They're like, what the hell's happening? And then he holds like he like grips his hand, and like he burns their souls. Like even their souls
like
are
they're
gone.
Literally like Ben's like, he erased them from the universe. They don't even exist anymore.
And it just goes to show how much power he has and so much control at such a young age. And even Ben like got blown away. He was like, boom, he like hit the wall. And so we learn at that point, like Madison's like, great, our new Supreme is pure evil. Yeah. Like, what are we gonna do? We gotta tell Cordelia. So then, as they're about to leave and get ready to go, Vivien comes through. We see our girl, Connie Britton. Hey, Connie. Hey. She's been like lurking this whole
and, like,
time.
Girl, like, if you're gonna make a return to TV after like 8 seasons, like, can you not wear your pajamas? Like, they put her in the most like
a full suit.
Like she was wearing like in her cardigan and like pajama pants. Like, make her like wear some sick clothes. Like, her character, I think, is the one that I kind of felt was a little like, I didn't really need her. I don't think.
No, that's what I mean. Really I was like, they only brought her back just because of the fact that they had to bring everybody back.
Like, Ben was clutch for sure. Like, his moments were really cute with Michael, but hers was kind of just like, she's like, I knew he was evil. And that was the end of it. I was like, okay, but you didn't do anything.
Like, real talk, she was probably one of the more waste characters. She like didn't do anything. Yeah. I guess it was her baby clothes, like when she like.
You know what? Yeah, it was, because it kind of continues on from where she died. Yeah.
So anyway, I definitely think that she was like kind of like an extra character for sure. Her explanation was not necessary, but she sees Ben. She's like, hey, and he's like, yo,
you're talking to me right now.
She's like, not really, sure.
No. She's like, I'm gonna leave right after this. I'm getting upset. So no, this is not going anywhere.
Connie Britton is like not about this.
She just wasn't having it. She was like, I've done Nashville since then. Like, I'm too good for AHS right now.
It's just like, I'm doing Dirty Joe later. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway, so she says, like, your son, who's like eternally going to be crying in this house, needs you. Like, go see your son.
Who's she talking about?
So, remember how Ben had a child with that next girl?
Which next girl?
Doesn't he have like an illegitimate child?
With who?
I don't remember, guys. Can you guys catch us up on that? Like, AHS experts. I was gonna ask her
that too. She's like, your baby's crying. I'm like, but which baby? How many babies does this guy have?
I think it was like the guy that like, it was the baby from the girl that he had the affair with. No, that chick that like got her head smashed in with a shovel.
So the baby died on the premises.
I think so. Yeah, he like left it and then he killed himself. I think he like left the baby like on the stairs and the baby was crying and then he like ended up like hanging himself. Okay, so I think the baby like died. Yeah, guys,
please let us know. Comment below. Let us know what the F was.
Where does baby come from?
Yeah.
So anyway, so he says, she says to Madison and Behold, he's not just like a bad witch. Like, you can't just go back to Cordelia and say like he's just a bad witch. He's like something more. And she says this next level quote. I wrote it down because I had to like figure out what she said. She says, it's from the book of Revelation. So I'm like, good girl. Like, she's like been reading like Google. She says, then I saw a beast with 10 horns and 7 heads rising out of the sea, and all who dwell on the earth will worship him. Yeah. And she was like, basically, it's like,
but like, where did she see that?
End of times.
Yeah.
I mean, she's time now to like read books, I guess.
No, but like, did she see Michael go through that? No.
Yeah, she did.
Oh, wait,
so did? Then this is her part of the story. Yeah, so then it gets to her part. And she's like, everything was wrong with him. Even his birth was something was wrong. His appearance was wrong. She's like, strange things started to happen. Like, when he was around, like crows would circle the house, and like it was always warm in the house. Like, he was on fire. And she was like, and then they came, and then it shows the Antichrist, like, I guess, like crew coming. Group. And he calls himself the Black Pope, like the main guy, and he's from the Church of Satan, and two cardinals. So then we see Miss Mead, and we also see a character that I don't know if you noticed, but it's somebody from like season 2 as well as season 4. It's Pepper, y'all. She like been done up, Jugger.
Oh my god, I didn't even recognize her.
Cause she all pretty now. So yeah, I guess that's a little Easter egg. But she's like one of the cardinals, and they see Michael, and Michael's like, "Who are you guys?" And they like explain like, "We're from the Church of Satan. Like, we followed you." It was almost like a Jesus story, but like the dark Jesus story. They're like, "We followed you like from the house, like the stars, like say that this is like a portal of hell, and you're the chosen one." And Madison's like, but why? Like, she's asking Vivien, why did you not stop him at that point? And then Vivian's like, well, I just thought it was like a bit of a joke. Like, the guy was kind of a loser.
Yeah, she's like, I didn't understand like who these people were like coming into our house.
And then she's like, until the Black Mass. And then we see the Black Mass. So Miss Mead is picking up some like hitchhiker on the side of the road when it's raining. And then as she's driving like down, she notices that Mrs. Mead has a upside down cross. It's like the Antichrist cross. And she's like, can I just like walk? And then in that moment, it's like too late. Yeah. She stabs her with a needle. And then they like throw her, like she wakes up and she's like in the house on a thing. She's like wearing a gown, and they freaking kill her like in the most brutal ass way possible.
Can we just go through this scene? Like I had to fast forward it because I couldn't watch. But like. So wait, so you're saying Vivien saw all this?
So yeah, she's experiencing this and like seeing it.
How? She wasn't in that scene?
She wasn't in that scene, but she was probably like lurking from afar or somewhere. Yeah, slash like they probably didn't want to pay Connie Britton.
Yeah, because that's the part. That's what I mean. Like as in like she didn't see that moment where he became like almost like the devil.
And that's what I mean. I don't know if it was the production. I don't know if it's like just Connie Britton like hating on the show or whatever. But like it just seemed that like she literally came in for that scene. Like,
and that was it.
Even like Dylan McDermott like had moments with Michael. Like you don't see Connie Britton with Cody Fern at any point in time.
Well, no, so you do at the end when she walks in.
Sure, but like barely that even. Like that could have been done on CGI too. Anyway, whatever. Yeah. Let's move on. So
they kill this girl. Can you go through the process?
It's like just so brutal.
Like they slice her stomach open.
Her stomach open, and then they dig into her.
But she's alive, right?
She's alive. They dig into her. They pull her heart. Guys, I wanted to throw up. It was so dark and disgusting. Actually, like the one thing that I did say, and I wanted to note this out, is I love AHS. I think it's such a terrifying show to watch. I know this is one thing that I don't know why it just sat with me really weird. We've seen so many crazy things in the show. I don't know why watching this moment really like hit me somewhere where I was like, y'all went too far. Like watching a girl die as she's alive, like getting her heart pulled out, like it just felt so wrong. And like I don't know. It's just sometimes watching the show, you realize like how you're just like sitting and watching something, and you're like, it's one of those moments where like, should I be watching this? Like this is like a little life scarring.
And I almost feel like it happens.
It does.
Like that shit really happens.
But that's what I mean. Like
people do that for real people purposes,
and that's why I feel like it was too real, like too dark. But anyway, we see it, and he pulls out this like throbbing heart.
But there's no significance to the girl. It's just like some random girl.
It's just like I guess like they had to choose a sacrifice. Yeah. So they pull her heart out, and then they give it to Michael, and Michael starts eating it like Khaleesi styles.
Yeah.
And then a shadow appears behind him, and it's like the winged beast. And he's like, I finally see my potential father. Like he knows like his dad is there, aka like the devil is there. And that's when Vivien says like, that's when I decided I wanted to kill him. Like it only took you like a million years later, freaking dumbass woman. And so she kind of sneaks up behind him, like as like, if
you're gonna tell me you just saw this man basically turn into like the devil or like call his daddy the devil.
Yeah.
You're gonna see all this shit. Then you're gonna walk into this guy's bedroom with a fucking butcher knife. And like that's it, girl. That's it.
That's all.
That's what you're gonna bring to the table. A butcher knife. Like, what is wrong with you? Like, that's why you're dead right now. Because, like, you're dumb.
You're such an idiot.
Like, bring something next level. Like, she brings, like, a freaking, like, 4-inch butcher knife.
Yeah.
She's like, to kill the devil? Antichrist? Like, what?
All right. So, anyway, he obviously books her, like, right away.
Yeah. Okay, tell me what that thing was behind his ear.
So, I had to pause it and let to, like, go back and pause it. It's a 666 tattooed on the back of his ear.
Okay.
I don't know if it was tattooed, but, like, it's, like, burned into his ear.
Yeah, because it looked like it was, like, warts almost.
Yeah.
Like,
so, it's a 666, like, devil. So she sees it, and then right in that moment when she's about to stab him, she like catches fire just like the two people did.
I feel like he has eyes in the back of his head almost. 100%. Something like that, right?
Well, it's like what you said, like the fact that he knows, like he senses things. He can see people like 5 steps ahead. I'm sure
I just didn't know why they cut to like that section of his body and then like, do you know what I mean? Like I didn't get it.
I don't know. Maybe it'll be a clue for later, but like it definitely was like the sign of the beast on his ear. And in that moment, as she's like about to catch fire, Tate like pushes her out of the way and saves her essentially, which I thought was kind of weird because I'm like, if you were Michael, wouldn't you just like blow them up anyway? Like who cares? Like what does it matter?
Like what? How is she getting away?
Like how is a ghost getting away? So he saves her, and then she's like, as soon as that happened, like Michael dipped. I never saw him again. He like moved out of the house, and she says, you know, like she's like, he's not from me. She's like, that child is not from me. She's not even from Tate. No. She's like, the source of darkness is his actual father, and he's here to destroy the world. Yeah. So like she confirms that he's an antichrist in this moment.
It's funny because I was talking about this with you too before. Like in that moment too, I was trying to think. I'm like, where did this guy's power come from? Where did this darkness come from? It can't just come from freaking Tate. And in that moment, I was like, oh my god, this has to be bigger than Tate. Like he was born from like the darkness of that house or the Hellmouth or wherever he's from. It is so past her and Tate. you know?
Absolutely.
And I don't think you really understand that until this season, until this episode, really.
Yeah, I guess. But also, like, Vivien was extra.
Yeah, for sure. She really was. Yeah.
So yeah, as soon as they find the story, they're like, okay, now it's time to leave the house, and we got all our answers. We got to go back to the coven. And as they're leaving, they get a little scared. They're like, what if we can't stop him? Like, what if we're not powerful enough? And then as they're about to leave, 100, they see Violet crying, and Madison has like another like final moment.
Like, my life sucks.
So she goes
like she's always depressed. This girl, she never smiles in every season.
And just seeing like Madison again with like another Thaisa Farmiga character, she's like, girl, you're even basic in this like storyline. So anyway, she talks to her. She's like, don't cry. She's like, listen, actually, I don't even think Tate's that bad. Like, here's like some powder. She like
truth powder.
She's like, it's like cocaine. Like, she's like, like here, like learn the story.
Yeah.
And she like realizes.
She's like, huh? Her eyes like roll over her head. She's like, I see everything now.
She's like, you saved my mother.
Yeah.
And so she gets really excited about that, and she finally calls Tate, and Tate like literally runs down the stairs.
He was like lurking over the staircase. I'm like, what?
They're honestly so cute though. Like, just seeing that, you're like, I'm over it. I don't know. Here's the thing. I think you're saying that because I know MB loves a love story, so I'm surprised that you're like not in love with it. The one thing I will say is it was kind of randomly placed. I think that like you are excited to get out of the house and be like, okay, next episode they're gonna find Cordelia and talk to her. So like seeing this as the final moment, and you're like,
and I also just think like I've seen their love story already. It's been played out in season 1. We got it. We had it.
But they still hated each other. So at least we get this resolve, you know?
I don't really care for it. I love the fact that like Madison was trying to be nice. That's what I care about more actually in that moment.
For sure. It shows that she has a full out heart.
Yeah.
Like, this girl's like
she went out of her way to like do something nice for someone else.
Yeah. So anyway, she does that. They get together and then they apologize to each other. Such a cute moment. And then she sees them like in the window.
They're like dancing in the window, like making out.
Yeah, they're just like hanging out in the window.
Spotlight, moonlight's on
and
them.
Madison like leaves with Behold, and the episode ends like she like closes the gates.
He's like, "Damn, girl, you're being so nice now."
Yeah, she's like, "Good for you, girl."
She's like, "At least someone's getting laid."
Yeah, and then that's the end of the episode.
Yeah. It was so good.
Such a good episode. I was so excited to see everything and everybody again. Jessica Lange, I love you. I hope one day you listen to our podcast and just know that we out here loving you.
Yeah, it was a really beautiful episode.
For sure. Let's get into our recap roundups.
Recap roundups.
Best moment.
My best moment, and I know it's not like a specific moment, but it was all of Constance Langdon's story.
Yeah.
And her explaining it, I just think, you know, like, first of all, like, obviously Jessica Lange, phenomenal. She made me want to cry. Just seeing this struggle as a ghost, as a mother, as a grandmother, trying to take care of this Antichrist child. She just played it so well. And I think the writing and the story they gave her trying to make lemons out of lemonade with the rose garden and all that, I was like, you ask yourself the same question. What if you were raising a serial killer? What would you do? How would you try to like do it? And she goes through the motions, and she has all the emotions that you would have if you were put in that position. And she just played it so well. I just loved that storyline.
Yeah, for sure.
What was yours?
Just before I get to mine, like there was that one line from her, and she was like, I was like born to be a mother, and she's like, I'll die trying to be one or whatever. And I was like, I started crying. I was like, oh, that's so sad.
What was your best moment?
My best moment was, I think, the Moira storyline.
Okay.
Just that little cute
Oh my
sequence.
God, yeah, absolutely.
It was so beautiful. I just didn't expect. I love just being surprised with like beautiful moments. I didn't expect it, and I think it made me see this other side of this show. And like I finished The Haunting too, so like I feel like it kind of connected me to like story, and like just like the idea that like these spirits have an ending. You know what I mean?
They have a
like,
final.
I never
story.
thought that like I'd want to see where their stories end.
The aftermath goes, yeah.
Or
for sure.
if they even deserve an ending, like, and to see them give Moira, like, who's not really a major character, to see them spend time and give her this beautiful freedom.
Yeah.
To be like, I want to be buried like in a cemetery, like as basic you can get, like cemetery without my mom, like I'm good.
Yeah.
Like it was just really freaking beautiful.
Really touching.
How do they fit these moments in this gigantic season?
This
is why I love
so
their
much
team.
happened.
Like it's amazing. Like,
yeah, absolutely.
WTF moment. My WTF moment was when Connie, what's her face, Vivien, walks into his room to kill Michael.
Yeah.
I was like, first of all, you're dumb. Like, what are you doing? Like, you're not gonna kill with a butcher knife. Yeah. And then also, I just didn't understand what was behind his ear. Like, I literally thought it was eyes, because like I watched it so fast. I'm like, yo, this guy have eyeballs behind his ears. And I was like, I have to ask J-Line if that was real, but it was just a tattoo, so whatever.
Yeah, for sure, that was definitely a WTF moment. Like, girl, what are you trying to do out here with a freaking butcher knife, loser?
Yeah.
My WTF moment was a black mask, because I just thought it was very like heart wrenching. Just like the whole like suit. The suicide, like them killing the girl.
The mask. Yeah.
I just thought it was very like it hit me in a place where I was
disturbing. I couldn't watch it. I told you. I was like, I fast forwarded. I was like, he'll tell me about it after.
It's
like,
just
I can't
so
watch
brutal.
This.
Yeah, I just didn't think that they were gonna go there. They went there, and I'm like, ooh, you ain't come back from the AHS.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was my.
Do you think at that moment that like Michael's face was a little like shook?
No, I think he was like intrigued.
Oh, okay.
He was intrigued, and he was like, "What's coming next? Like, what are they doing?"
Yeah.
Like he was very excited about it all.
MVP. My MVP was Madison.
Girl, hi.
I loved her this episode.
Yeah, absolutely.
I love that like there was room enough for her to like be herself and like for her to shine a little bit.
Yeah.
And I think that final scene with Vivien,
Best.
I mean, what's her face?
With Violet.
Violet. Yeah. It was just so, again, like so unexpected. Like she didn't have to do that. And it was so freaking cute. And like I think that there's like this like common like love triangle between like Emma Roberts, Thaisa Farmiga, and Evan Peters. Like there's
so
like this
true.
like consistent thing that happens with the three of them every freaking season.
Yeah, it's so true.
Or not every season.
She's like,
but
find love with my
ex
fiance.
Yeah.
For sure. Because you said Madison, my MVP is gonna go to Constance. I can't say enough times how much I loved her in this episode. Jessica Lange, I love you. That's all I gotta say.
LVP.
My LVP, I didn't really have like a least valuable player, but I just mentioned the not Miss Mead, but like the other two people that were with her.
Oh, okay.
So like the Dark Pope and like the other girl, I guess Pepper, just to see like what's gonna happen with them. Like what, like do they end up? They obviously don't end up in the after apocalypse. So like what happens to those two characters, and like do they actually even play a big part in his storyline?
Right. Or are they part of the what's it called, the collective?
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Who knows? Yeah, maybe
I just wanted to focus on them for like a sec. Yeah.
Well, you probably wanted to say this too, but I took it. My LVP is definitely Vivien. Freaking,
I was like,
like she was the worst. She was literally the worst character.
I wanted more from her. Like I love Connie Britton, and like I just wanted a bit more.
Yeah.
But I get it. I think, and this is the thing. Like they can't make everyone's return iconic.
Sure.
You got to choose.
I mean, they
right?
fully could have. I disagree.
But I really
think
do
totally
like Ben's. If I had to choose like Ben's storyline over hers, because I think we saw the whole mother storyline with Michael.
With Constance,
right?
Yeah,
and like
true.
you don't see that dad side to like Michael's backstory.
Yeah.
So seeing Ben kind of fill that role for like a minute was really cute.
I mean, here's the thing. I didn't love Vivien's character from season 1 anyway.
True.
She was like aloof, and she ran away from every problem that she had to deal with. Like she was really annoying, actually, when you really think about her character specifically. I know, shade against Connie Britton. I don't think she's the best actress of all time. No, so I just thought that like seeing her again, I'm like, you just look whiny. You don't want to be here. I don't want you to be here either. Like just.
You know what I think it is? Like, I don't want to say she's not a good actress. In Friday Night Lights, she's like the best thing ever.
She's like, maybe this is just not her
But I think
suit
she can't do horror.
Yeah.
I think she just can't. She can't do horror because I don't know. She just doesn't. Maybe it's like the way she looks.
Yeah.
And she just can't get that dark.
She's like perma cheese. She just like looks angry all the time. Like, girl, relax. But yeah, I just thought that she didn't like pull through the amount of times that she saw him becoming like demonic. She didn't have any moment in time where she's like, okay, now I gotta step forward. Like, no.
Yeah.
And then when she stepped forward, she was Way's case. Like she almost died.
Yeah.
Anyway, definitely LVP.
The best line.
What was your best line?
My best line was from Constance.
Okay,
go girl. At the beginning, and she's talking to Madison and Behold, and she's like, "Well, if you really do have witchcraft at your disposal, then why don't you just abracadabra that goddamn bitch out of my afterlife?" I died. I rewinded like 10 times. I'm like the way she said it was so good. I can't even do it justice, but like it was so good. Like the hatred that these two girls had to get like to each other, it was so funny.
And just seeing her like deliver these lines that are written for her are so phenomenal.
She's just like, get her out of my afterlife. Like just
get her out of here. So funny. I have a couple best lines, but they're from the same person, so I'm going to say them both.
Yeah.
First of all, the writing in this entire season or this episode was amazing, but I just wanted to pull like really funny ones that made me laugh. One of them was from Madison. and she says, if my child wasn't cute or like good looking,
oh my God,
I could never love it. She's like, if it wasn't a cool kid, like I don't know what I would do.
Yeah.
I couldn't love it. And I was like, I couldn't stop laughing at that point. And then also, it's actually between Behold and Madison where he says, you surprise me. Under that facade of a heartless narcissist is, and she finishes it off with a stone cold bitch. Like she's still trying her best to show that she's not, she's a stone cold. Like she has no emotions. Clearly, we don't know that that's the case by the end of the episode. So I just loved that particular quote because it shows that she's still trying to put her guard up. But girl, those walls is coming down, and I can't wait to see like what they do. Because I think even last episode during our podcast, you said like, when are we gonna see the real Madison? She always puts up these walls and puts up these like fake walls that like now we're starting to see. And Emma Roberts is like doing a good job playing through.
No, for sure. Like I'm really liking, and I'm not the biggest fan of Emma Roberts, so like me saying this
I know,
is
trust
definitely
me, guys.
like a stretch.
This is real.
But I'm really liking her. She's playing it really well, and it's funny that you sang that moment because I love the moment where like Jessica Lange looks at Madison. She's like, clearly you haven't had a kid because like look at your body, like you're not like thick enough, whatever.
Yeah.
And I was just like, it's such a cute dynamic, and I think I would love to see this girl like be a mom, like like because she almost like Madison looked like she was like like insulted, but like a little intrigued
like,
too
like,
at how you love this thing, like how can you love this thing, and even her just saying like, well, if my kid's ugly, I'm not gonna love it, like like she's got a long way to go, but like I'm so down for that journey
for sure. I'm so down for her too, absolutely. I hope they bring her back, but we'll see.
Another thing I just wanted to ask and go through was, I think it was Madison to Vivien, and she goes, she's talking about like Michael and the house, and this stuck with me because she was just like, it's like this house used him, about Tate, I guess, and she's like, it's like this house used him as a vessel to create something way worse,
right?
Because like Violet was like, he's evil, like Tate's just like really bad, and Madison's like, no, the house just used him to like put this seed into the world, so it's not him.
And she says like, as soon as Michael left, I think all that evil left the house as well.
Exactly.
So
I was like, yo, that's actually so true.
And it is very,
I never thought of it like that.
And it is very telling to see, like,
I put it on Tate the whole time.
Yeah, what this whole story is. Like, we always thought Tate was the evil one. He killed a bunch of people in his school. Like, he's like the devil incarnate.
And we remember we were questioning that too in the beginning, right? We were saying
like, why would it be just this child? Why all is all of this antichrist stuff coming to this one kid? Like, he's not that bad. Like, he wasn't like killing animals like when he was a child, he's just a disturbed kid. Yeah. So yeah, it all makes sense now.
No, I love that. Yeah.
So yeah. Anyway, that's the episode, guys. I'm so looking forward to the next episode. I'm sure we're gonna go back to the coven and see what happens there.
I think the next episode is called Traitor.
Ooh.
So somebody do something, babe.
I really hope it's not. Oh, I guess it's Ariel. He's the traitor, right? Isn't he the one that like killed?
Right. We'll see.
Anyway,
you know what? These titles always mean more than one thing. I feel like so it might be like all
except
over.
For this one. This was
like Queenie might be like traitor.
Oh, the gag. Or maybe Misty.
You never know.
Well, let us know what you guys think. Thanks for listening. Make sure you guys comment at the bottom of this episode. We can't wait to hear what you guys had to say about it because it was a crazy episode. Thanks so much for listening. Bye.